now I'm happy to introduce to you our next guest, Hana Skljarszka, who helped us a lot with the coordination of Social Reactor when I was complete newbie, and we were just launching the new Lyceum project. For me, Hana is the person who brings other people together. So I asked her to tell us about cooperation in general.
Hey, thank you very much to present. Good. Hello, everyone. My name is Hana Skljarszka. I'm a trainer of critical thinking and communication, but at the same time, I work as a facilitator. It means that I bring people together and I help them to keep a constructive dialogue in the room. That's why I'm probably here, because the participation and the cooperation is a big part of my job. And today I'm not really sure if I will talk about the participation and cooperation in general, but I will try to bring my understanding of what keeps participation and cooperation flowing in the group. And I will try to give you some tips and tricks how you yourself can try it in your everyday life or during any meeting that you have with your friends or with your colleagues or even with the mayor of the city. Therefore, let's try. I will just, first of all, what I find very interesting in the groups is that everyone is different. Like there is such many things happening in a small social group, even with the 4 or 3, even with the 3 people, that everyone has the different point of views, different knowledge base, different capabilities to speak, actually, different power to speak. And usually my job is to help people to, even though they have differences, to find this constructive dialogue. And how I do it, I have like 4 criteria or my inner values that I usually follow. First, and the utmost importance that I have is that I really appreciate equality and respect in the room. And if it's not only me bringing this equality and respect, but everyone else in the room. I also try, and it's very hard to do active listening, and I think it's the hardest part of the job at all, and I will speak about it a little more. I'm a very curious person, and I utilize it in my everyday interactions. That's why asking many questions and being open to other perspectives, it's an utmost importance, and also it just makes me happy. And the 4th one is to look for commonalities, especially in a very divided world that we live right now. Is like to look with the things that we have similar, we have in common. It's I think the goal that we should have in our everyday lives, not only during the meetings. And let's start with the equality and respect. I truly believe that everyone in the room is special, okay? Either they have the special abilities, comes from their ability to speak, or they have a different knowledge they bring to the room, but especially when it comes to the social dynamics, it's how introverted or extroverted they are. Some people, when they're a little bit closed, they do not like to speak to many people at the same time. They are not so outspoken. They need more time to really realize or think about the stuff. They're not just throwing their ideas on yourself, but they really like to think, which is actually one of the best things about the people when they think. And these people need more time, for example. You cannot just throw them into the big group and say, hey, now give me 5 things that you believe, what you believe in, or tell me something about your values, or tell me about the budget. No, these people need time to speak up. Also, you have some outspoken people in the room. They are worrisome many times because they're using sometimes their charm, sometimes their voice, sometimes the knowledge to overpower other people. Or they're like me. They're not very focused. They just like to speak, they're super jits, and they just very energetic, which is all right. But sometimes it's giving out, the time, or they're taking away the time from other people to speak up, to share their own ideas. And this is one of the most challenging things because you never know what group will look like when you come to the new group. There can be like different mix of people. Sometimes very hard to work with the people that they are not really outspoken, then it's not very much to talk about. Or when the people just jump, you know, from ideas to ideas, they shout on each other, you know, there is a lot of emotions going on. And that's why I use different techniques like to help everyone find their peace in the group. But before I say the technique, there is a second very troublesome thing in the room, and it's the power in the room. Especially in the businesses or in the organizations, when you have a hierarchy, there is a boss, there is a junior staff or a senior staff, you can feel it. You know, it's the energy that comes from the conversation. You can feel that someone doesn't like or look from the, you know, above to others. And then they use this power, either it's a formal power of their, I'm the boss and I will have the last word in this room, or they are not utilizing that power like in the fullest degree that they can have. And then I come and I do my magic, and the magic is very simple and you can use it anytime. It's, imagine that you have a group of 6 people, okay, in the room. And first what you can do is just give everyone time alone to write something down. Okay, let's say that we are discussing what kind of coffee we will have in our kitchen. Yeah? I will say, hey, everyone take pen and paper and take 30 seconds just to think alone. You know, what kind of coffee do you want in the kitchen? Just get your ideas together, write it down. Then when this is done, after 30 seconds, I'll say, okay, now discuss it with your partner next to yourself, okay, to the left. Just share your ideas and maybe find what you have in common, what is different. Then I can say that, okay, now we just started to speak, you know, people start to, you know, feel more comfortable to speak because you created the safe environment for them in the smaller groups. Said, okay, let's go to the groups of 4. And now the task is more like difficult. Just find 2 things that you have in common. Okay, find only 2 things that you have in common. What is important when you select the coffee, or what kind of coffee do you want to have? 2 things. And then open it to the big group. And what can happen? There are only a few things that can happen. The most of the time is that people have the similar ideas, or they have the similar point of view, and they will agree even before I open it in the group, in a big group. Means like from each group, it will come the similar ideas. And it's like, okay, we will have Ethiopia. Good, let's go and buy it. Yeah, because all the groups said the same thing. Or even if they have a different ideas in the groups, they had already discussed it before. Therefore, their brains and their minds are set up for the discussion. You know, they had already put their minds as a puzzle together. This is very simple. It depends on how big group is, what is the question you want to ask, what is the goal of the conversation. But always you can use at least, give yourself 30 seconds to think. You can use it in any kind of conversation, and I'm quite sure it will help a lot everyone in the room, either to calm down, you know, to put together your ideas, or to encourage someone to speak up. Therefore, this is equality and respect. The second one is active listening, which is extremely hard, even for me. And even though I really like train it and I do myself try it so hard, it's very hard. And because I think like people has a totally normal tendency not to listen to each other. Even though we think that we listen to each other, we usually do not. And why is it so? Either we have something else to think about. I don't know, maybe someone will find it interesting as I do, just to really make yourself a sign during the day when someone was talking to you and you were just replying, what will you cook for the dinner, you know? It's just the lack of focus that we have because we are dealing with many things. Or we are creating the argument before even someone else stated their own, you know, we are prepared to fight. Always we are prepared to fight. Therefore, in our head, there is always something going on, which is blocking our ability to listen to each other. And there is one very hard, but I think hard to master, but easy to try. tip and trick that I have. It's to summarize anytime you're in the conversation. It goes really smoothly when someone says something, some idea, even if it's for 2 minutes. It's like, oh, okay, stop. I need to sum up it for myself and maybe for you. Do I understand right that? And you try to summarize the idea in a way that there is no judgment. You're not judging. You're not using like big expressions. You're not using vague words, and you're not using any its own. You know, you're not adding any of your ideas to the idea itself. And you are trying to say it in a way that other person would say, "Thank you. I wouldn't say it better." Well, which is very hard usually. But when you are really, this is your motivation to do so, you know, when you're really trying to summarize in a way that someone would say, "Thank you, I wouldn't say better," it's pushing you to active listening, you know, because you're blocking automatically your own thinking about the dinner. And you're really trying to understand, not just to replicate what was said, but really understand what was said on the other side. It's very hard. Try it. I would say find your buddy. It can be your partner, it can be your teammate. And at least for 1 week, try to summarize everything that is going around to you. Because it just comes with the practice and nothing else. It will not come from one day to another. But summarize it is one good thing. And another one, and it's more easier, just be quiet. Just for some time, just shut up, you know. And that's for some people it's easier. For some people it's harder. But just to be quiet and to listen to others, but also quiet your mind when you are doing that. That can help a lot in the participation and cooperation, especially. The third one, my favorite, it's the curiosity. I believe that we see world through different filters, everyone. Yeah? As I said, we have a different knowledge package. One is architect, I'm a sociologist, some people, as my boyfriend, is engineer, you know, and it's totally fine that according to our professions, we see the problems differently. But we are also, we have different gender, we have different age, we have different demographics, you know, I'm from Eastern Europe, you're from Western Europe, oh my God, such a big differences that we have between each other, and so on. And sometimes we find these differences as a problem, but I find it as an opportunity to see the world from the other perspective, or to see the different, you know, viewpoints of the reality and the universe around us. And one thing that can help you to utilize the curiosity and these differences the best is to ask open-ended questions. What does it mean? When you ask closed questions, it's the questions that lead to yes or no. Okay, they're closed. You usually stop the conversation flow. That's what it's helpful when you're trying to cut the conversation very quickly. Yes or no, it's a very good question. But when you're trying to be curious and when you're trying to like open the conversation up, you have to ask open questions. What do I mean by that? I use the example of my morning discussion with my boyfriend. Yeah? I asked him, do you want to go for a holiday? And Franciszek, as grumpy as he is, said, no. I was like, okay, I did something wrong. Okay, I trained this, I should do better. I said, okay, what do you think about going for a holiday, Franciszek? And I think, Hannah, I think it's not a good idea because I have trillion tons of work. I was like, oh, okay. And I started and I jumped. Can you postpone the work? I was like, no. And the conversation was blocked. He said he's going to work. He doesn't want to discuss it anymore. There is a question, what should I do? Like, I should not ask, can you postpone the work from the very base on from the logic of the conversation, but maybe I can ask, when you will be ready, like to leave your work, you know, how can I help you with dealing with trillion tons of work you have, you know, why do you have trillion tons of work? When would you end up with your work, and so on and so on. When I use the questions, what, when, why, how, who, and I forgot the last one, is that I'm opening the world not only to myself, to his world to myself, but I'm maybe also opening the world of opportunities and possibilities for his own thinking. Therefore, use open-ended questions, curious open-ended questions, not manipulative ones, curious open-ended questions, and maybe you will find a lot more about the people sitting next to you. And the last one is the looking for commonalities. I truly believe that we are more similar than we are willing to admit. We usually find the things that we have different, oh, that person is using like totally different language that I do, oh, that person totally different values as I do, he wants to get vaccinated, doesn't want to get vaccinated. It's like all this world is around us is just differentiating us on the scale of good or bad, right or wrong. And it's really tiring, and it's really not helping the cooperation. And therefore, there is one very easy trick, which really comes with the motivation. Okay, it's easy because you're motivated to do so. Is that regularly during the conversation, state what we have in common. We usually have a common goals, even it doesn't look like that. When we are, for example, with the architects, and I will show you. I was in a negotiation with architects, with the mayor, with local developer, and with the public. And there was a single mother of two, the local developer and the mayor, and all of them were really like pushing their own ideas about how the neighborhood should look like. And I was trying to find a common goal. And after the discussion, we find out that every single actor has a kid, even though they have the kids in a very similar age group. It was a 12 to 15. And I said, okay, then maybe our common goal, and they were living in that neighborhood, all of them, very close by. And it's like, maybe our common goal, it's that our kids should have the safe space to play. I was like, maybe if we rephrase it like that, no, that it's not super expensive playground, or I don't know where the parking would be, but when we find first our commonality, our common value, we can get to the agreement quickly. And then also what was the next steps, and is to find a common language, because I can state that, hey, let's create a safe space for kids to play. And believe me, there's a totally different understanding. What does it mean, safe space? Yeah. For the architect, it's a different. For the mother of two twins, it's totally different. For the developer, it's totally different. That's why we had to find this common definition, and then we could move on. Therefore, it's fine. It's okay to disagree on many things. When you find out that even after finding common goals, even after finding the common language, you cannot find the right solution, it's okay. Just state it, say, sorry, maybe we cannot just agree today, we cannot cooperate today. Let's find the other way, maybe let's meet in a month or in a year, and we'll be different, and the situation will be different. And this is what I usually say, it's don't be afraid to say that we won't agree anymore. Sometimes we have a tendency to always find the solutions, always cooperate. No, it's totally fine to say it, but you have to state it, and state it clearly. Why is it not happening? Therefore, throughout these small tips and tricks and understanding how we work, I truly believe you cannot find like the pattern into that. You cannot put that together. Nevertheless, we still be different. We still have different goals. But maybe the communication and cooperation will be a little bit easier. And just for you, what will you try tomorrow? Because all these skills you have to train every day, and find at least one that you can try tomorrow. Thank you very much.